Hello, everyone. I will be discussing gender inequality today. Women all around the world are still fighting the gender constructs that have been created by society. Although there have been many advances in women's rights, there are still some large differences between how males and females are treated in today's society. In fact, there is not a single country in this world that has reached complete gender equality. Gender inequality is a serious issue that women all around the world have to face. However, the struggle looks different depending on which part of the world you are examining. For instance, the gender pay gap is a prominent problem for women in more developed countries. Also, women in developed countries tend to hit the glass ceiling, which is the point at which it becomes more difficult for all women to exceed regular managerial jobs and move into positions of higher power. On the other hand, women in developing countries are actually more likely to be denied an education and are expected to stay home all the time, which is something that women in these countries are starting to fight against. The first aspects I will discuss are the cultural aspects. The cultural consequences are evident when analyzing how children can be raised by a male and female parent. The female parent will tend to show more maternal characteristics and help the child along every step of the way. On the other hand, a male parent will try to quote-unquote toughen up the child. Also, female parents tend to take more time off work to care for their child, while the male parent takes much less time off work to do the same. Additionally, because women are expected to be at home when they are older in developing countries, many women in these countries will get married early and not obtain higher degrees. However, the women in most developed countries feel free to obtain the degree that they want because society in these countries is leaning towards women focusing on entering the workforce, not taking care of the household. An example of gender inequality is how 40% of women in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa are married by 18. Getting married at such a young age can lead to many complications. The next topic I will discuss is the economic aspects of gender inequality. Economic consequences of gender inequality include how gender inequality in education specifically can cause a decrease in human capital because there are a smaller number of people who can be successful if education only focuses on educating boys and men. Therefore, this harms future economic growth. Economic causes of gender inequality include how a lack of employment can cause less bargaining power in the household for a woman. Under these circumstances, women would not have any say in the family's finances. However, women who are employed or employed at a higher level tend to have a voice in the family's finances. This can help the economy because it can lead to women having higher savings. An example of the economic aspects of gender inequality is seen in India and Pakistan. In Pakistan, gender inequality had a negative impact on economic growth, and in India, there is a negative association between per capita income and gender inequality. The last topic I will discuss are the political aspects of gender inequality. Political consequences of gender inequality include how women have very limited access to politics. This is because they lack many resources, have restrictions due to caretaker duties, and sometimes even have to fight down institutional constraints. Additionally, women constantly have to put in more effort and have better credentials than men to prove themselves and their capabilities in politics. Political causes of gender inequality include how more democratic countries tend to see less females in politics because the citizens of these countries do not vote for female representatives, perpetuating gender inequality. The type of electoral system being used in a country can also affect gender inequality. Studies have shown that countries that use a proportional representation system, which is where voters vote for specific parties, tend to create situations that favor women in politics. An example of a specific political consequence is how in the United States, only 14% of the Senate and 15% of the House of Representatives is represented by women. Overall, gender inequality affects many different aspects. However, the way that women in these different countries respond to gender inequality depends on how developed the country is. In more developed countries, women feel more equipped to speak up in the workplace and at home about inequalities that they're encountering due to their gender. However, in developing countries, women are usually more oppressed and are expected to do what they are told to do. This takes away their independence. However, there are a lot of different organizations that are trying to combat gender inequality all around the globe and in all sectors, such as economics and politics. Additionally, many countries around the world, even developing countries, are giving hints of moving away from traditional gender roles and stereotypes. In this class, I learned how interconnected everything is. From politics to economics and even culture, each country has affected or been affected by another country. This goes to prove how globalization is affecting the whole world. And these last two slides are the citations for the images that I used in order. Thank you.